All right, we are live. We're back live here with the Fast Break here on the Variety Sports Network. I'm your host, Shoot the Rock. And as you can see, I'm in a different space. Usually there's all the clutter, all the posters behind me. Not today. I am currently in my new apartment. That's why we had a bit of a delay here. Did not realize, Fubo TV that I got here does not carry TNT. So I was trying to get this Knicks Celtics game on while we did the show here. So I had to do some finagling, but we finally figured it out. So we are here. We are live. The NCAA season is finally concluded. And, obviously I kind of thought that was what was going to lead the show today. But then we had some of the more shocking news that I've seen. Granted, people on like Twitter were saying like this wasn't even like a top 5 craziest Shams alert. Michael Malone has been fired by the Denver Nuggets. With the Nuggets currently have, I forget what it is. The Nuggets have 3 games to play. They're currently sitting at the 4 seed, and they fired their coach, Michael Malone. I mean, I didn't really touch on it a couple weeks ago because, this was like peak NCAA tournament. But, this is now the second coach of a playoff caliber team that's got fired here in the final couple weeks. As Taylor Jenkins got let go by the Grizzlies a couple weeks ago. And for me, these headlines are honestly just kind of clickbait in my opinion. It's like, oh, the Nuggets have lost 4 straight games. They're in danger of falling into the play-in. They're currently the 3 seed. Yes, they're in danger of falling into the play-in because that's how close the West is. We're going to go over it later after we touch on the college basketball. We're going to talk, final week of the NBA here. But Nuggets are currently the 4 seed. They could finish as high as the 3 seed. They're a game and a half back of the Lakers. And we're going to fire the coach. Like, this just does not make sense to me. Not bring back the GM. This is now all 4 of the 5 coaches that have won a title since 2019 have been fired. Nick Nurse, fired by the Raptors. 2020, Frank Vogel, fired by the Lakers. 2021, Mike Budenholzer, fired by the Bucks. 2022, Steve Kerr, still there. And then 2023, or well, I guess not Joe Mazzulla still there, but now 2023, Mike Malone. Or am I getting my order confused? No, I don't think so. 2023, Michael Malone, Denver Nuggets, NBA champions, fired. And it just doesn't make sense to me. Like reading this report, like it's really just been like it's not on him. I don't even know if it's on the GM either because they're not bringing back the GM. Just a lot of role players have walked away from Denver just because they haven't been paid. And like I don't really think you can fault a guy, like a Kentavious Caldwell Pope, like a Bruce Brown for leaving to get more money after winning a championship. That's what it takes. That's what happens after winning championships. Your guys are going to want more money, and they deserve it. It makes sense. And the Nuggets are being cheap. Ownership's being cheap. They won't play these guys. So now, we're going to younger guys like Christian Braun, who, has been solid, Peyton Watson. But going with young guys around, this talented core of Jokic, who's the best player in the world. I don't really think that's a debate. He's the best player in the world at the moment. And then, Jamal Murray's been dealing with some injury here, and, Aaron Gordon. Like, those are 3 really solid players to build around, and they just straight up haven't done it. They just haven't done it. I just cannot believe, like, a coach who's won a championship does not deserve to be treated like this. Like, that's what's really frustrating for me, and why just the NBA is like just way too trigger happy. I don't know if it's maybe like I'm like almost thinking it has to be like Jokic and him were having some argument where now Jokic was like, get Mike Malone out of here, kind of like what happened with the Bucks getting rid of Adrian Griffin so quickly after firing Budenholzer. I mean, just kind of both those guys, where it was just like Giannis didn't like him. It wasn't Giannis's guy, so they went in a different direction. But I mean, this just makes no sense to me. I mean, So the Nuggets, they entered the All-Star break on an 8-game win streak, but they're 11-13 since, so below 500. Like I mentioned, four straight losses, but this really just does not. This just doesn't make sense to me. And that's what, it like says here. Jokic now moves forward without the only head coach that he's had for his entire career. So that makes me think it's not like the Jokic didn't like him. Let me look. I believe it was like Mike Malone winning percentage. Because I want to say he like also is like the winningest coach in Nuggets history. Or Mike. No, what was I trying to? I want to look up. Oh, Denver Nuggets winningest head coaches. Who? Let's see. I'm scrolling here, dude. Of course, it's like some buggy ass website. No, I do not want to. Of course, it goes down. Come on. We're getting there. Okay, Mike Malone's 590 winning percentage, led the Nuggets their only championship in season history. Oh, that's what I was thinking. He holds the record for regular season games won by a coach at 471. So he's won the most regular season games out of any coach. Has also won the only championship in the franchise's history. And we're gonna let him go with 3 games to go because the team is slipping and could potentially be in the play-in. Like, give me a break. Like this, it just makes no sense to me. Mike Malone deserves way better than this that's happened here. And that's why just like I'm so like I'm not even like a Nuggets fan. Like I am high on the Nuggets. I really like Jokic. I think he's a fun player to watch. The Nuggets are, a team that I really think like they're destined to win another championship. Like I don't think Jokic is done with just one title. I mean, he's going to win his 3rd MVP in the last 4 years, and they get rid of the coach. And like now I really just have absolutely zero faith in the Nuggets. Like, how do you get? I mean, I guess it's who is it? What did it say? Who's stepping up into this role? David Adelman, lead assistants, can take over as head coach. So I guess it's not someone completely new, but I don't know. Just like it just makes no sense. Just like going with a different leader, the guy who's led you to a championship. Now we're into the postseason. He knows what it takes to win the postseason. We're gonna say, no, we're moving on. Like we don't want you to coach us in the play. Like that, I can't wrap my head around it. So I really just think the NBA is just getting a little too like trigger happy with like things go wrong. We're firing the coach and just like leading into the star player like doesn't like the coach. So now we're firing the coach. But like, why is that done during the season? Like, why would you not just wait till the offseason? Or, if you're gonna do it like I said, like the Bucks did, where it was like early into the season, right? They were the 1 seed at the time, which is what made it crazy. But I don't know, just like not like just seeing 2 coaches fired down the stretch here of the playoffs just makes no sense to me. I know like the Grizzlies kind of were sliding a little bit more. It was obviously a little bit later. But I just don't get it, to be honest. So if anyone here in the chat, can vouch for why they should have fired Mike Malone, why this is a good decision, please let me know, because I don't have an answer. I don't think it is. I think it's a terrible decision, and it just kind of drives me nuts. It's not really something I want to see. I don't think it's good for basketball. Seeing, head coaches who've done all this, and just get fired, get 3 games for a season. I know, like, if like in my job, like I had, accomplished as much as Mike Malone did, and like right before the like best part of my job, I got fired, I'd be livid. Like it would be like it just does not sit right with me at all. So let me know your guys' thoughts. I've left my water bottle, so I gotta go grab it here. I'm a little winded, so let me grab that. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts here in the comments. Good part of a small apartment. Can grab it quickly. But now let's get on. That's enough. We're gonna get into more NBA talk. Don't you worry. Let's go back to what I really originally thought I was gonna love the show with. Is we had the Final Four this weekend in San Antonio, and there was a lot of murmuring this tournament. Oh, it's kind of been a bad tournament. Like no upsets. It's been all chalk. All one seeds in the Final Four. Only the second time that's ever happened. It was like tied for the lowest seed total ever in the Elite Eight, because it was all 4 1 seeds, obviously, and then 3 of the 4 2 seeds, then a 3 seed. So, it was a lot of the top teams all year were the ones who found themselves playing deep in this tournament, which honestly I don't think is a bad thing. I mean, any other sport, heck, college football, people are saying we need to change the format because it didn't result in all the top seeds making it. So I don't think it was as bad for the sport as some people were making. Like, college basketball is not dying like the Stephen A. Smiths of the world and the people who only watch in March think it is. I think that's a very casual take. Sorry, not to name call here. I'm all for supporting the people who only watch in March. I get it. Everyone's got their thing. I got busy lives, so not everyone can be a CBB sicko like myself. But I guess if you have that take, or you think college basketball is dying, kind of drop it down. Let me know why you think that, because this Final Four is why it's not, and why I don't think chalk was such a bad thing, because we got probably the 3 best games of the tournament all in one weekend. So we're actually going to start with, you guys can see my hat. We'll start with the Duke Blue Devils and Houston Cougars on Saturday night. I think, because like I said, how I've done it the past rounds is I've done like the Elite Eight. I've just recapped like the latest round and then kind of maybe like touched on the previous games. This one I really want to dive in. And I think next year I'm probably gonna have to look to reformat, or maybe we do a show after every round. So Houston knocks off Duke 70-69 on maybe a questionable over the back call against Cooper Flagg, which then Houston gets a 1-and-1, knocks down both free throws, and then Cooper Flagg can't knock down the potential go-ahead game-winning shot to honestly, let's be honest, Houston stole this one. They don't have time led on here. Like I thought they did, but just looking, largest lead, Duke led by as much as 14. 14 was Duke's largest lead, and I believe it was for sure at least 12 with under 10 to go in the second half. Houston's largest lead was 3. So their lead at the end of the game was their largest lead of the game. Duke was in control of this game for 39 minutes. Like, let's be honest. Duke was in control for 39 minutes. So it was Duke took the lead 5-4 with 15:57 to play. They didn't trail again after that. They led. So yeah, like I said, they led from the 15:57 mark of the first half. So nearly 16 minutes in the first half, all the way until 25 seconds left. No, not even that. Yeah, 19 seconds left. So for, what is it? Let's do some math. We'll say 19:6. So for 35 minutes of the game, Duke led. And like I said, it wasn't really till the last couple seconds that Houston took the lead. And, those first 5 minutes when they were back and forth, like, Duke seemed in control. Let's be honest. Duke was in control of this game for 39 minutes, if we're being brutally honest. But then Houston did what they do. And that's why Houston was a 1 seed. That's why Houston was in the Final Four. That's why Houston, until last night, had not lost in regulation since, I want to say, November. Since Thanksgiving weekend. It was the last time Houston lost in regulation until last night. And that game probably should have gone to overtime. They probably should have won that game. We'll get there. But Duke with just an all-time collapse. And it really, it pained me. It was one of those where you just sit in silence after the game, because you're just like, what just happened? I know we all have those losses as a fan. So let me know if what that loss was for you guys. Also, I wanna let me pull up my X account here because I got some good tweets on here, and one of them actually was brought up about potentially being on the show because this kind of relates to my point, and I think is a good little thing here. Good little clip, because I think this is one that it's kind of evergreen here. So my guy JJ Airyman tweeted at me, 2025 Duke or 2024 UConn, who wins? So he tweeted this at me at 9:55 p.m. So I want to say it was still like early second half. And I said, I'll have an answer for you on Monday. That was not me saying, oh, I think Duke's going to win the national championship. That was me saying, let's finish the season because one team has a ring, and let's make sure the other one does before we have an answer. So he then said, I'd set that line at Duke -5.5. Yeah, I warned him. I warned him the UConn fans are going to come at him. And then, yeah, I was a little angry. I'm going to keep it a buck. And then, yeah, okay. He's just, so then there's the UConn fans. Like I said, you want to get Twitter engagements, go at UConn Husky fans. They'll usually end up being like right in the argument, like cooking you. Cause like this happened. He was like saying, Duke would beat UConn by 6 points. And that did not happen. I don't think it would happen because, and Dan Hurley even brought this up. I was finally got around to listening part of my take today. UConn like always blew teams out. UConn never had to play close games. Like they covered the spread. They've covered the spread in 14 straight tournament games. Their last 2 national championships, and then, or maybe they didn't. No, they covered the loss to Florida, and then one obviously like won 13 straight, covered 14 in a row, but obviously 14th was a loss. Duke, it cost them all year their late game execution, and they didn't have to play close games in the ACC except for against Clemson. And I really did want to throw out those first 2, against Kansas and Kentucky early in the year because that's a very young team. 2 high level games in their first month playing together. Like the Duke team in November and the Duke team in March were 2 completely different squads until the last minute and a half, 2 minutes of that Houston game when the November squad showed back up. Honestly, the last 10 minutes. Like, let's be honest. Duke made 1 field goal in the last 10 minutes of the game. I almost tweeted it out because, like, they, like, showed their like, Duke hadn't made a field goal in 7 minutes, then they made a 3, and I was like, damn, they hadn't scored in 7 minutes before that, and they're still up by 9. So it just stinks. And that's what, kind of Dan Hurley was saying was UConn would blow everyone out. And Duke, for the most part, was doing that. And that's what I was going to say. If Duke, held on to that game and blew out Houston, and then, if they go on to win against Florida in similar fashion, where I think if it's not a close game, like I think kind of like how Houston was up on Florida, if Duke was then doing that to Florida, I don't think Florida comes back the same way. And then I would argue this Duke team was better because they had Cooper Flagg. Let's be honest. Like, that's what I'm saying. I think I really can't. You can't blame Cooper Flagg for the loss. Like saying the whole like Cooper Flagg's unclutch or Cooper Flagg's why Duke lost is just a lazy clickbait narrative. Like I don't think you can watch that full game and say that's on Cooper Flagg. But this is one of these games where just a collapse like that, it's not one player. It's a calamity of errors. Like I don't think you can just point to one thing like some people are trying to. Like, yeah, the Mason Gillis flagrant, not a good foul. Is it on John Shire for not drawing up an inbounds play? Maybe, but also we're D1 basketball players. How can we not get the ball in? Is it on Tyrese Proctor for missing a free throw, not passing the ball up? Yeah, probably. But that's what I'm saying. There's a whole like group of things. I don't think you can just say there was one thing. And also, that's just Houston. If anyone remembers the Houston-Kansas game earlier in the year, they did the same thing because of how physical Houston is and how they play. They have this ability to come back from the dead, and that's what you can do when you're kind of a rock fight team like that. You're going to play defensive. You're not going to let a team, you're going to force turnovers and inbounds. You're going to, really ramp up the pressure. And let's be honest, Duke just kind of folded under the pressure, and it's tough to see that now happen with this team in both their last two, Final Four appearances, first against North Carolina and then this game on Saturday night. Because like I said, I really thought my Twitch stream last night that I did watching the game, make sure to, well, I guess now college basketball is over, but I'll probably be doing them for other sports, make sure to join those. I really thought it was going to be a Duke watch party, and then I was like fully prepared if Duke was in it to do this show last night and do a live pod just reacting about Duke, but just wasn't meant to be. But yeah, I mean, this has been a bit of a Duke glaze fest. This isn't a Duke show, this is a national show. I do want to shout out the Cougars a little bit. Really good game from LJ Cryer and Emmanuel Sharp. Like, those were the two kind of guys that all tournament have just really been carrying Houston. I mean, Cryer with 26 points, Sharp was 16, but both of them from 3-point land. Sharp was 6 of 9, or I'm sorry, Sharp was 3 of 7, and he hits them from the party. He hit that big one to cut it from it's either 9 to 6 or 6 to 3. He might have hit both. I can't remember. Sorry, ran before the show, so I'm a little winded here. And then Joseph Tugler, while he didn't have a great game offensively, only 4 points, he grabs 5 offensive rebounds. Jawan Roberts, 11 points, knocks down the clutch free throws. Same thing with him, 12 rebounds, 4 of them offensive. Every single player in Houston's lineup had at least one offense. They had 18 offensive rebounds as a team. Meanwhile, Duke only had 21 defensive rebounds. That's insane. Granted, Duke did have 10 offensive rebounds in themselves, but rebounding the ball, giving Houston second chances, that's how teams come back. So I want to give the Cougars a lot of credit. They came back from the dead. They kept fighting. They could have rolled it in. A lot of teams, when you're down 14 to this Duke club, are packing it and saying it was a good season, but not this Houston team. They said they have this ability to come back from the dead. And yeah, and they did it on Saturday night, got themselves a chance to play on Monday, but they got to play Florida on Monday. And Florida, like I said, this game we got to touch on too, because it was such a good game. Maybe I should have done Florida for, no, I shouldn't have done Florida for, I like the format I'm doing here. Florida knocks off Auburn 79-73. And it was a Walter Clayton game. 34 points from Clayton in that one. His running mate Elijah Martin was 17 as well. Thomas Haw had a really good game off the bench with 12 points, 7 rebounds for him. And this was just like a just offensive juggernaut game, and that's what I expected from these two teams. I mean, just the shot making on both teams. But it just kind of came down to, at the end of the day, Florida's shot making was better, and they were able to force, a couple more turnovers and, play a little bit better defense. I mean, Florida did turn the ball over 16 times to Auburn's 14. Let me look though on the points off turnovers. Points off turnovers though, 16 for Florida to 6 for Auburn. Florida took advantage of, capitalizing on Auburn's mistakes in this one. And, they shot the ball slightly better, 47% from the field to Auburn's 43 or 44, and then 38% from beyond the arc to 28% for Auburn. And, I really do want to give a lot of props to this Auburn team. I know they're kind of an easy team to dunk on, they're older guys. And, there was a little bit of me, just because, there's the race for the number 1 overall seed, the National Player of the Year race between Janai Broome and Cooper Flagg, but this Auburn team was I really did enjoy watching them. I mean, I remember saying it back when I was watching that Auburn-Duke game on the ACC-SEC Challenge. I was like, I really hope we get to see these two teams play again, because that's just how fun to watch Auburn was. So the leader for them in this game was Chad Baker-Mazara. He had 18 points. And then Janai Broome also with 15. And then 7 rebounds for him. Dylan Cardwell, only 9 points, 8 rebounds. Denver Jones with 10 points. And then Tahad Pettiford, only 7 off the bench. See, that was really a kind of a key in this one for me, is Tahad Pettiford just kind of being the ace up Auburn sleeve coming off the bench is probably their third option scoring wise, but being their 6th man. I did see he's entering into the NBA draft, with the remaining, retaining college eligibility. So he's a guy where I really hope he comes back to Auburn's on the squad again next year, because he's a lot of fun to watch. Chad Baker-Mazara, I don't know how he's going to be turning 26. he's older than me. And like I want to say this spring currently would be like, if I used like COVID years and medical red shirts, I could have like still been competing this spring. But I chose not to, and I've been out of the game for nearly 2 years. So he's going to be older than me somehow, still playing college basketball, but we'll see. We'll see. So I do just want to give props to Auburn because they are, they were like just a really fun team to watch all year. I mean, let's be honest, they were the number 1 overall seed. They went to the Final Four for only, the second time in program history. So yeah, I just want to shout them out because, I feel like obviously for pool reasons, I was cheering pretty hard for Florida. And like my tweets and stuff probably, showed that, but I did really, kind of want to shout out Auburn because they did play really well and were a fun team. Sorry, I don't know why my mouth is just so dry tonight, guys. So give me a second here. Feel free to drop your takes on these games as well. That would kind of help me out here with a little bit of the just kind of fill in some space so it's not just me yapping. So let me know your guys' takes on the Saturday night games. All right, and then we get to last night's game, the national championship, Houston, Florida. Great game, a lot of hype, and man, it was a class. I mean, sorry, excuse me, now I'm coughing. It probably was it the best championship game of all time, or at least like kind of a recent memory? I mean, Kansas's comeback against North Carolina in 2022 was up there. No one talks about it because they just remember Carolina beating Duke. Obviously, the Carolina-Villanova Chris Jenkins shot game was like probably the best one all time. I don't think this one was played, high enough level to be, in consideration with that. But this one is definitely up there. Like I kind of saying, was a bit of a sloppy game at times. It was one of those, I think because of some rescheduling stuff, there was NBA games last night, but usually the NBA like does not have any games on national championship night, kind of like getting people to watch, college basketball, like kind of being like, okay, there's nothing competing with this. It was one of those games where when NBA fans say, how do you watch college basketball? Like just it's so sloppy. It was one of those games. Like I would understand that take from people watching that game last night, but like I kind of mentioned, that's how these teams, or at least Houston likes to play. And they were only up 3 at half, but they led the first half felt very much in control for Houston. Houston at one point led by as much as 12 points in this game. That was in the second half. Let me try to find where that was. But I know there was definitely points where this game, like it felt like it was over. It felt like Houston was kind of gonna just run away with. Let's see, where was it? It was 30. Yeah. So yeah, it was 16 minutes, 16, and a half minutes to play. Or 16 minutes to play because it was a whole minute until Florida cut it to 10. Houston led by 12. They had all the momentum. They looked like really strong to finish the second half, or finish the first half, or at least playing late in the first half. Florida did kind of hit a couple buckets to make it a bit closer, but Houston was dominating. This game was over. They did a really good job of shutting down Walter Clayton as a scorer. He was they were just kind of making him pass. He did have 7 assists, but he also had he had 3 turnovers. He wasn't taking care of a lot. Houston was playing very good defense. They're forcing turnovers, but then all of a sudden Clayton kind of got unlocked. They started figuring out. They started playing some better defense, forcing some turnovers on their end as well. And, the shot making wasn't great in this game. Houston shot 35% from the field. Florida shot 40%. Florida shot 25% from 3. Houston shot 24%. So just not a very great shot making game. But honestly, for once, that kind of went against Houston because they were up big. They were rolling, but they weren't scoring and just putting the game out of reach. And Florida was able to come back. And man, that last sequence was just insane. Let I forget even how Florida took the lead, but I know like Clayton hit a big three to tie it at one point. Clayton hit a three with 3 minutes left to tie it at 60. Then, Cryer responds, tips it in. Florida makes 2 free throws. Then Houston makes, Tugler makes a free throw but missed the second. And then, I've been yelling at it all game where Florida kind of at times is doing, they would attack the basket and then they would spin. And Houston was ready for the spin. Like, that's what Houston as a defensive team is ready for. Like, they're shutting that spin down, like, forcing jump balls, forcing strips, making them, like, there's a couple times Florida traveled because they just, like, were, stuck up, didn't know what to do. But finally, Elijah Martin attacked the rack, drew a foul, knocks down both free throws. And then 64, 63, maybe, what was it? I'm so confused. Why am I blanking now? Okay, and then, so Florida made 1 free throw after Houston fouled, but, like, missed the second, or maybe it was miss first, make second. I can't remember. And Houston gets one last chance, down by 2. And honestly, like, they draw up a pretty good play. And then I see Sharp, he's coming. And I'm like, no, this is what he's done all tournament. He's hit threes from just, like, the parking lot. Like, he was going to be open until Walter Clayton comes out of nowhere, contests really well. I still think Sharp could have got the shot off, but he tries to pump. I don't know how I'm describing this, but like you guys were probably watching, but he tries to pump, but when he pumps, he loses the ball and he just kind of has to box out. And then Florida just dives on it. The clock runs out. Like, it was just usually you say like crazy sequence to end the game. It's like there's like a game winner. No, just the defense just. Oh, I'm just getting so excited thinking about it. It's just like why I love college basketball. Like, that was just like such an emotional game, such a scrappy game, such a back and forth game. And Florida, they now find themselves national champions once again. I mean, kind of funny in my opinion. So Florida, the only 2 national championships before that had been, they went back to back in 06 and 07. And then now UConn, last 2 years, became the first team to go back to back since the Gators in the last 2 years. And then Florida knocks them off and then goes on to win the title. And now Florida has 3 titles. And is there an argument for Florida being a blue blood school? I mean, let's be honest. Like, some people think Michigan State's a blue blood school. Well, Florida now has more titles than Michigan State. As some people argue Villanova. Florida and Villanova now have the same amount of titles. Like, they have more than Louisville. They have more than Syracuse. Like, there's some very high level like programs that you think of when you think of college basketball. That Florida now has more championships than. They've now done it with multiple coaches, where it's not just one coach has led them to all their championships. So, and I want to say it was like they went to their Elite 8 appearances, like their 8th this in like the last 20 years, which was like tied for the most. Florida's sneaky basketball school. Obviously, SEC down south, everyone thinks football, football school. But honestly, at this point, I mean, the Gators did come on strong late in the year football wise, and they did have a very tough schedule this year, but Florida's kind of a basketball school at this point, and arguably a blue blood basketball school. So let me know what you guys think. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. So I really think there is only 6 true blue bloods. Like, I don't have Michigan State in that. Also, it's not just like you have to wear blue to be a blue blood. It just happens to be all these schools are blue, which I think is funny. But for me, I think it's UCLA, because UCLA still won it in the 90s. Like, it wasn't just all the wooden championships. UCLA has, won after that. They've gone to Final Fours. UCLA is like stayed nationally relevant. So UCLA I still think is one. Kentucky, North Carolina, Kansas, Duke, and UConn are who I think are the 6 blue bloods. I think Indiana used to be one, but they're not there anymore. I think Michigan State's knocking on the door, but I don't know. I kind of need a little bit more from Michigan State. And then the Villanovas, the Floridas of the world. Another title or two, kind of soon, and I can argue maybe those schools are back in the mix for being blue bloods as well. But I don't know. My buddy Will did make a very good point that it's almost starting to get to the point. I mean, we're now a quarter century into this century. There kind of might have to be a little bit of a differentiation of like 21st century blue bloods and 20th century blue bloods kind of thing. So if we're just doing that, like just this century, just from all these stats I've said, I think Florida's up. I think Florida's in that mix. But if we're saying all time, I don't think they're there quite yet. But let me know what you guys think here in the comments, and then we'll flip over to the NBA. So I'm very glad I got this Knicks Celtics game on because this game is coming down to the wire. I'm glad I figured that out. But yeah, so NBA. The next show I'm gonna be doing is gonna be we're still figuring out. I might do 2 shows next week. But the next time I come to you guys, the NBA regular season will have concluded. I mean, it's crazy to think how fast basketball goes. How fast it goes. I mean, there is part of me that does like really miss the like NBA, not the bubble, but like the season after where they started like December or like around Christmas and then went into like July. There is part of me that really wants the NBA to go back to like, obviously that was only 17 2-game season, but yeah, maybe start like first week December and then go through, essentially push the start of the NBA season back a month, because I think it would kind of, March Madness would kind of fill that like dead period of games before, the dead period NBA games, and then there'd be like, okay, now we can get into the playoff race, because now it's kind of like, all right, like the playoffs start next week. There's no really like I'm amped up for the race here. It's more I'm just like, all right, get me through this week, give me the playoff games. So let me know what you guys think about that as well. So let's pull up the standings here like we do every week, kind of thing. And then after that, we're gonna get into some scenarios here, because this graphic I saw today, and I really like it. So currently we have the Thunder as the 1 seed in the West, and that is the only of the 20 spots in the playoffs and play-in, that is the only locked-in spot. The Thunder as the 1 seed. Literally every single other spot could change. However, I think if the Celtics, I think if the Celtics lose tonight, then the Cavs would clinch the 1 seed. So maybe the Cavs are about to clinch the one. Actually, and I think the Cavs beat the Bulls. So I think now that might not be the case. Now maybe the Cavs are also the 1 seed. But as of earlier today when I was prepping for the show, when I saw this graphic, the Thunder was the only one locked in. We then have the Rockets at the 2, Lakers at the 3, Nuggets, who fired their coach, at the 4, Clippers 5, Warriors 6, with then Timberwolves and Grizzlies in the 7-8 game, and then Kings, Mavericks in the 9-10 game to wrap out the West. Then out East, we got the Cavs as the 1, the Celtics as the 2. That's pretty much locked in. Like both those teams can only finish 1-2. Like I said, I'm pretty sure now, after tonight's results, it's confirmed that the Cavs will be the 1 seed, Celtics will be the 2. Then we got the Knicks at the 3, Pacers 4, Bucks 5, Pistons 6, with then the Magic and Hawks in the 7-8 game, and then the Bulls and the Heat in the 9-10 game. So looking here, we'll scroll down a little bit just to kind of see some differences here. So yeah, the 10 spots are, I'm believing, each conference. Okay, other than the Suns potentially could still jump in, but it's looking like that's probably not gonna happen. The 10 teams, the 10 spots are clinched. But I mean, like some close ones. So the Pacers here are only 3 games back the Knicks. However, the Knicks, who are currently up 1, pull this one out, then I believe the Knicks will be the 3 seed. The Bucks are 3 games back the Pacers. They still do have a chance to jump into the 4. The Pistons are only a game and a half out of the Bucks. Like that's the reason one where the Pistons could jump the Bucks. And then the Hawks, Heat, and Bulls are all, the Magic, Hawks, Heat, Bulls. All 4 of those teams are within 2.5 games of each other. So like that, we could see completely different seeding. Tatum just knocked in a 3 to tie the game with 2.9 seconds left. Holy cow. Wow, what a game this is. Then on the West side, we have The Lakers are 4 games back of the Rockets, so probably not going to catch them. Still can, but probably won't. Then we have the Nuggets, who, like I mentioned, they fired their coach because, they could slip into the play. And they're currently the 4th seed and are a game and a half out of 3rd. Then we have the Clippers, and the Clippers, Warriors, Timberwolves are all only, though, a half game back of the Timberwolves or of the Nuggets with the same record. Oh my gosh, and the Grizzlies. I'm so sorry. So, like, that's actually insane that teams 5, 6, 7, like, literally, like, any of these teams could lose and they go from being, like, firmly in the playoffs to now the 8th seed. And then, it's pretty much, like, locked up that the Mavs are going to be 11 or be 10. But yeah, let's stop sharing the screen because, I do want to see, like, I do want to show you guys how crazy this is. Just who can finish, like, what seed. Like, to me, this is just insane. So, like I said, top seed Thunder, locked up. Only one locked up. Both the Rockets or the Lakers be the 2. So that's pretty much locked up. The Rockets, Lakers, Nuggets, Clippers, Warriors, Timberwolves, or Grizzlies could be the 3. And then those same teams minus the Rockets. Literally all those teams could finish anywhere from 3 to 8. Like, that's more because, like I said, most likely the Rockets can get the 2. Teams from 3 to 8 could all still finish in either spot. So that's just crazy to me. Like, I can't believe it. Like, I have been kind of saying, and that's another reason why I'm saying, like, for just between the timing, and I guess that schedule probably has always been, or no, the NBA did start, it ends now a little bit sooner because of the play. And the regular season used to go like a week and a half after March Madness instead of just, Josh Hart just missed a buzzer. That game's going to overtime. Granted, I also think March Madness the past couple of years also has been a little bit later just because how the calendar is fallen as well. But yeah, so I've been saying, there's not much intrigue in these races much. There's intrigue in that race. That's an intriguing race. Granted, like I said, all those teams are going to be in the playoffs, but like the difference between being the 3 seed and being the 8 seed and playing the Thunder in the first round, the fact that it's literally 2 games between all those teams is just insane. So we'll see there. Like I said, and then it's just me pretty much battle like Kings, Mavs for the 9, 10, and then the Suns apparently can still get as high as the 9, which is crazy to me. But then out east, we got, like I mentioned, Cavs, Celtics confirmed 1-2. Knicks or Pacers are the only teams that can be 3. Then you throw the Bucks in with those 2 for 4. Then you throw the Pistons in with the Pacers and Bucks for 5. Then Bucks, Pistons 6. So the 6 teams that are going to be in the actual playoff are clinched. But the fact that then, like, the same thing, now we're looking at the 4 play-in teams could be seeded any way outside of the Heat being the 7. So we are going to have some intriguing races. But that's what I'm kind of saying. It's like I'd almost rather just have it be, especially, let's be honest, all those teams are under 500, like going to finish under 500. That's kind of gross. Like, I don't know. Part of me, let me know what you guys think. I'd almost rather just have, like, the 4 teams racing for the 7 and 8 seed. Like 4 teams for 2 spots to me is more intriguing than 4 teams battling for playoff position on who just has to win 1 game to be the 7 seed versus who has to win 2 kind of thing. Like, to me, it's not as intriguing. But looking here, let's just kind of go through the schedule here the rest of the week with kind of some of these other big games, like kind of ones to watch for seeding here. I just want to look at each team's schedule. I was trying to reload it to get the current results of tonight's games. But yeah, let me know out of these, like how crazy it can be. Let me know what first round matchups you want to see the most. Like for me, as this loads in, just because there's less kind of speculation out east, for me, I'm hoping to get, I'll say, I'd like to see Cavs Magic because that was in 7-game series last year. I'd like to see that as the 1-8. I'd like to see the Heat somehow jump up. Like I said, hopefully the Heat get 8th, like win that game. So then they get the 7 seed Heat Celtics just because they've had, the Celtics beat them last year, but they've had some really good series as of late. Granted, no Jimmy, but still. I guess I'd say I'm hoping like Knicks Pistons. Just because I want to see Pacers Bucks again. Pacers knocked the Bucks out the last 2 years. But also I wouldn't mind seeing Pacers, Pistons, Knicks, Bucks. Because I think Knicks Bucks could also be like a really good series where it's kind of both those teams. It's like, ooh, like either of those teams losing in the first round is like a bad season. So I think that would be intriguing. All right, so looking tomorrow, we got Boston at Orlando on a back-to-back tomorrow. Lakers at Dallas. Luka's return. That's gonna be a very high-profile game. Then we also have Heat Bulls. Heat at the Bulls. That's a game for seeding. The Warriors host San Antonio. That should be a game they win. And then the second game of that ESPN doubleheader, Denver at Sacramento. We'll see. New coach bump. Denver needs a win. I'm gonna be honest. Denver now needs to win. If Denver finished like in the 6 or 7 with Malone, yeah, it'd be disappointing, but that's like acceptable. No, now firing the coach, I think all the pressure is like the Nuggets need to finish as the 3 or 4. If the Nuggets fire their coach and don't finish as a top 4 seed, that's a very disappointing season. And then we got Rockets Clippers. So like we literally have, what is that? 1, 2, 3 games in the East, and then 3 games in the West, 2 games in the East. That it's between like playoff teams on like seed deciding games between playoff teams. Very, very intriguing. Thursday, a little bit later schedule. We do have Knicks Pistons, and then Cavs Pacers. Kind of like I said, I think the Cavs have it locked up as the 1, but for the Pacers, that's still gonna be a big game. And then Minnesota Memphis, teams who are tied. So that's like literally a not winning in, but like if you lose, you could go from being the 3 seed to the 8 seed, or not that extreme, but it's right. Is it what is right now? Those 2 teams are. Let me look again. I'm sorry, I got confused. You go from being the 5 to the 8 or the 7. I guess actually right now those are 7 and 8. But yeah, very big game. Like you can't lose that game. Then looking Friday, we got Milwaukee, Detroit. So again, 2 seeding games. Orlando, Indiana. That'll be a big one. Cleveland and the Knicks. Grant, I think by then we could kind of see some of those more slots locked up. Then the West, we got Rockets, Lakers. So that's another one where it's literally like, that's essentially the game for the 2 seed. Like, let's be honest. If the Lakers take care of business against Dallas, that game's for the 2 seed on Friday. Excuse me. And then, yeah, Clippers, Kings. Another one kind of for seed. And Denver, Memphis. Another one for seeding, where like the winner of that game, could be the 4, loser could be the 7. It's crazy. So that's Friday night, and then everyone's off Saturday. Makes sense because everyone plays Sunday. These Sunday games. We got Orlando, Atlanta. That's going to be literally just a play-in game. That's like those teams could be playing then again the next day, or not the next 2 days later. We got Indiana, Cleveland will be locked up by then. Detroit, Milwaukee literally could be like a preview of them playing, or it could be for the 5 seed. Houston, Denver, I think kind of by then we'd probably be looking at, depending on results, the Rockets could potentially have the 2 seed locked up, or that game could be for the 3 seed. Dallas, Memphis, Dallas can't move up, but that's like a game Memphis can't lose. Well, that's like a can't lose for both teams. We got Clippers, Warriors, where those are 2 teams in the mix. That could be like a game for the 6 seed, say maybe even the 5. Who knows? And Lakers just play Portland, so that should be a win. So yeah, we got some really intriguing matchups coming up the rest of this week here. I hope you guys will be watching them because I will be. Especially, I'm going through I go through a bit of basketball withdrawal. I love college basketball; it's my favorite sport. But now it's wrapped up, so this is where I really deep dive into the NBA. I'm a big hockey and baseball guy too. Like I love the Stanley Cup playoffs. I really think the Stanley Cup playoffs are the closest that any pro sport gets to the March Madness feel, just because I guess now with them all being on the same TV network, there is a bit more like off days, but usually there's 4 games every night, whereas like the NBA is a little bit more spread out, and like the first round series usually don't go as long. Hockey, you actually do kind of have like teams that go on run. Like you'll see wild card teams make the Stanley Cup, so it's intriguing. So yeah, I really love this time of year. So appreciate you guys watch. Like I said, we're gonna next time I'll be seeing you on this channel. We'll have playoffs set. We'll be breaking down some playoff games. And then yeah, throughout it, I'm gonna kind of keep trying to do these watch parties I've been doing on my Twitch channel, Shoot the Rock. So make sure to check those out. You can kind of watch some of these games with me. And yeah, I'm gonna be seeing a lot of you guys coming up here these next couple of months because man, playoffs, no better time of year. So appreciate you guys for watching. I will see y'all next time. Peace.